It's all gone. It's become seabed now. Totally useless to us. Some of the land got divided up, and we can't do anything with it now. It's all become seabed. Might as well just hand it over to the sea god. It's useless. We'll never get it back.
The year was 1986. Typhoon Wayne brought torrential rain and strong winds. When the ocean waters came crashing onto land, it submerged hectares of green farmland. The seawater did not recede after the typhoon, and farmland became wasteland. This farmer could only feel hopelessness looking at his 100 hectares of nothing. But something changed when the migratory birds landed. They brought a trace of life to the wetlands. This village, called Chenglong, is located in the southwestern corner of the Yunlin County's Kouhu Township. It's named after the international star Jackie Chan's Chinese name, but it used to have an even more interesting name.
This place was called Kouhu Kouhu Harbor. When I was growing up, people said that their cows would stop to pee here on the way home. So the name stuck. It wasn't until Taiwan's retrocession that it was renamed Chenglong.
The Chenglong Wetlands are located in the village. Before they were reclaimed for Mother Nature by Typhoon Wayne, the area was a fertile farmland for villagers.
This was all farmland. We used to grow rice, sugarcane, and peanuts. We could harvest dozens of litters of peanuts. One paddy field could yield several kilograms of rice.
Wayne broke several local records for typhoons. It affected Taiwan directly or indirectly for half a month. Its outermost fringes battered Taiwan 3 separate times, and it even made landfall twice. The storm caused unprecedented damages in central Taiwan. Even after all these years, villagers are still haunted by the memories.
We were scared when the typhoon brought lots of rain. We thought everything would be swept away. Even the fish were running away scared. As I recall, in 70 years of typhoons here, Typhoon Wayne was the worst. I lost about 2 or 3 million Taiwan dollars of property that year. Around 3 million from the fish farms alone. I lived in a one-story cottage. When it flooded, we could just reach out and catch shrimp while sitting in bed. I mean it. Before Typhoon Wayne, we were breeding tiger shrimp. When the flood came, we could just catch tiger shrimp from the bed using nets. It's true.
In just one night, the power of Typhoon Wayne permanently submerged over 100 hectares of rich farmland. Flooding is regular in Chenglong Village because it's located on low-lying land. To deal with the flooding, many of the villagers have elevated their homes with large cement bases.
I built my house about 5 or 6 feet above ground. To get into the house, we have to climb some stairs. I really built it higher.
Even the village temple was elevated, so the gods, too, are safe from floodwaters. This is by no means a recent problem for the villagers. Back in 1845, Kouhu Township had the worst flood in Taiwan's history. Historic records show the flood left so many dead that people didn't know how to handle all the corpses. The flood and the subsequent plague that broke out brought the number of deaths into the tens of thousands. Locals ended up digging mass grave mounds for all of the bodies, creating a disheartening landmark. Experts say that the flooding was caused by a typhoon that took a particularly destructive path through Taiwan, one that was very similar to the path later taken by Typhoon Wayne. The flood of 1845 left its own stories of destruction and heroism.
Dan In-hyung, his name is Hero. Maybe he was meant to be a hero from birth. He sacrificed himself during the flooding. Why did he do it? He was a good son. He saw the weather was turning bad and that a flood was coming, so he headed home to find his mother. But before he got there, the flooding had already started. He saw 8 children stranded on a huge wooden chest calling for help, so he risked his own life in order to save those children. As you know, the flood was huge. It was the biggest in the island's history. It was also the most deadly. So Dan sacrificed his own life, and afterwards people wanted to remember his heroism. So they built a gold statue in his image. It's the one in the temple with 8 kids on his back. That's the story of how Dan In-hyung fought back against the rising waters.
In recognition of Dan's heroic act, sculptures of the 8 children were added onto his statue's back, creating a person with a total of 9 heads and 18 hands. As for the victims of the flood, villagers worked together to make cylinder-like structures for ceremonial use as a way to send the spirits of the deceased up to heaven.
Each cylinder has 3 different colors on it, which represent the upper, middle, and lower worlds. The lower level is the water world. We use water lanterns to lead the spirits from the lower level to the middle level, which is the underworld. There, Taoism and Buddhism are practiced to help the dead achieve immortality. Then they are led up to the upper level called heaven. That's why the ceremony is conducted in 3 stages, to lead the dead from the water world to heaven.
Every year, when the lunar calendar reaches the 8th day of the 6th lunar month, the young people who left for big cities come back to Kouhu County to take part in the annual ceremony to lead those spirits to heaven. As the bugles and cymbals sound, villagers circle the cylinders, hoping that their deceased relatives will accept their offerings while passing between the worlds. Some villagers claim possession by the spirits, which causes them to jump around erratically and hit the cylinders against the ground excitedly. This is the most mystical part of the ceremony.
Living people get possessed by the spirits. It's because the flood came so suddenly. It was so sudden that the victims did not get to finish whatever they were doing before they died. So they cast their spirits onto other people and speak through the possessed. Each one explains how he or she died and the tasks he or she did not get to finish. This is the meaning behind the whole process.
After finishing turning the cylinders, the Taoist priests perform a ritual to send the spirits away. The villagers then gather all the cylinders and paper money in a central location and burn them for the deceased. Through the flames, villagers can be seen tossing paper money into the air while offering their blessings. They pray that the deceased can continue to guard the land and help protect them from any future floods. Floods have shaped a special kind of faith among villagers. Through destruction, Typhoon Wayne brought the village a gift of wetlands. The area comes alive every year with the arrival of migratory birds. According to a Forestry Bureau evaluation, the Chenglong Wetlands have the potential to become a center for recreation and ecological restoration. That's because the submerged farmlands remain intact, and the area is adjacent to the Kouhu Wetlands of Kouhu County. Villagers now receive a subsidy from the government, which hopes to keep the land fallow to prevent it from sinking. That's key to converting the wetlands into an ecological park. More and more birds come to Chenglong with every passing winter, but the human residents were at first less than enthusiastic about the wetlands sitting at their front door. Though beautiful and diverse, the wetlands brought little benefit to their quality of life. To help the villagers get a new perspective on their ecological treasure, the Forestry Bureau invited the Kuanshu Educational Foundation to explain the ecological importance of wetlands.
Where we are now is we're helping the local people connect emotionally to the wetlands in front of them. We want them to have faith in their homeland again. I think this is the most important task at hand. That's the first stage. We have actually already started the second stage, which includes schools teaching about marine ecosystems and the unique features of the local environment. We teach the children the basics about the Chenglong Wetlands, like all the different kinds of birds, fish, and other organisms here.